Alright, parents, today we're going to be talking about Au Clair de la Lune on page 13. Now, Au Clair de la Lune has two parts. There's a part 1 and a part 2 in the melody. There's also a chord part that we'll talk about as well. I want to start by talking about part 1 and then talk about part 2. Now, your child should have been assigned one of the two parts, so double check in their book to see what part they should be working on. So Au Clair de la Lune, similar to Ode to Joy, is in that A form, meaning the first line, the second line, and the fourth line are all incredibly similar. And actually on Au Clair de la Lune, they're exactly the same. So the third line is the one that's a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the first line, jump down to the third line for part 1, show you how those work, do the same thing with part 2, then play the whole song with both of the parts. So, part 1, let's quickly review our notes. On the first string we have the notes E, F, G. That's going to be open, first fret, third fret. Second string we have B, C, D on the second string. Again, open, first, third. And then on the third string we have the open G string, or that low G, and then the note A on the second fret. So part 1 is going to go C, 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 D, E, and this is a half note, D, C, E, D, D, C. So let me play that. Remember to let your half notes and your whole notes ring out. Half notes get 2 beats, whole note at the end gets 4. Okay, the third line, we start on this note D. Then we go to A for the second measure on the second fret. D, C, B, A, G. Alright, so that's part 1. That was the first line and then the third line. All right, part 2. This is the first line. It's going to start on the note E. E, 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 F, G, F, E, G, F, F, E, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then the third line is going to start on that note A on the second fret of the third string, and you are going to go A, B, C, C, A, B, C, B, 2, 3, 4. And that was the third line. All right, I'm now going to play both of the parts together. I'm going to play it in a higher position so I can get both of the notes. So this is really just for listening and playing along with. Don't pay attention to where my hands are. That's not going to be in the same position that they're playing. So this is just for your kid to kind of play along with me, because this is what I would be doing in the class. All right. So starting from the very beginning, I'll play all 4 lines. 1, 2, 3. All right, So that's all the note reading melody stuff. Let's talk about the 3 chords that are used in this piece. So we have a C chord, and you might remember that from Ode to Joy. That's going to be our first finger on the 2nd string, our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th, and our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Again, there's a chord chart in the back of the book that should help. There's your C. G7, we move this first finger to the 1st string, 2nd finger to the 5th string, and 3rd finger to the 6th. We get the G7. Finally, we have a D7. A D7 is going to look a little bit like a triangle. We're going to put our 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and we play D7. And that's it. Thanks.